The Atlantic Charter and the Four Freedoms by the A-Bombs.
The Four Freedoms. To convince America to join World War II, FDR made a speech called the Four Freedom Speech. FDR had just been elected for his third term in 1940. During this time, Hitler and Germany were invading Western Europe, and Great Britain was struggling to fight back. Because of the effect of World War I, Americans wanted to stay isolated, but FDR knew that Britain needed the US's support, and the war could help America's economy. FDR decided to make a speech and say it in the State of the Union address. He gave the task of making the first drafts of the speech to his advisors. During the fourth draft, the paragraph about the four freedoms appeared.
The draft included four types of freedom: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. The Four Freedom speech was addressed on January 6, 1941. The speech gave hope for soldiers and citizens. It gave hope to the war-worried people because they were already fighting for freedom. This led to the Atlantic Charter.
Atlantic Charter.
The Atlantic Charter was the blueprint for the world after World War II and is the foundation for many of the international treaties and organizations that currently shape the world.
British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt negotiated the Atlantic Charter aboard the Atlantic Charter Conference, aboard their respective ships.
On August 14, 1941, Roosevelt had traveled to Ship Harbor aboard the heavy cruiser USS Augusta, while Churchill made the journey to Placentia Bay aboard the battleship HMS Prince of Wales, and they made an 8-point document called the Atlantic Charter.
The Atlantic Charter established a vision for a post-World War II world, despite the fact that the United States had yet to enter the war.
The notion of one world in which nations abandon their traditional beliefs to and reliance upon military alliances and spheres of influence did not appeal to Joseph Stalin or Winston Churchill.
Only Franklin D. Roosevelt believed in the possibility of a world governed by democratic processes, with an international organization serving as a fixer of disputes and protector of the peace.
In the first point of the Atlantic Charter, the U.S. and UK agreed to seek no territorial gains through World War II. In the second point, they stated that any territorial adjustments would be made with the wishes of the affected people taken into consideration. Both President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Churchill agreed in the third point of the Atlantic Charter that self-determination was a right for all people. The fourth point said that the United States and Great Britain would make an effort to lower trade barriers. The importance of the advancement of social welfare and global economic cooperation was recognized in the fifth point. President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Churchill said that they would work to establish freedom from fear and want in the sixth point. The seventh point of the Atlantic Charter stated the importance of the freedom of seas. The last point and the eighth point of the Atlantic Charter, they said that both countries would work towards post-war disarmament and the mutual disarmament of the other nations.
Thanks for watching from the A-Bomb.